Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. We're a little bit late starting, but do want to welcome you guys to the stream. This is the normally LPL coverage. We'll be covering the Demacia Cup. It's a different tournament. It's got a bunch of really good teams, and we'll see a few of them tonight. You can see LGD on there, a team you probably know. But we're actually going to start things off with Ray versus Snake. And I'll turn things over to my co-caster, Nero, to kind of introduce the teams. I'm Rapid, and we'll be covering these games for you, of course, brought to you in part by our friends at Gosu Gamers and Games in Asia here in English on Twitch.
Yeah, so Ray, they are the kind of an unrecognized team right here. They have one really good top laner that they gave away to King, who are playing in LSPL, and actually they are doing really well. So this was their good player right there, and he got taken away from them right now, and they didn't qualify for LSPL 2 times in a row, 2 splits in a row. So they are the kind of no-names and the underdogs coming into this match, but they can surprise. And actually look at the bans. There's the Draven and Nami ban. How often do you see bans such as that? On the other hand, we do have Snake, and they are in the middle of the standings in the LSPL, sitting on 7 wins and 7 losses at the moment.
Yeah, so there's two weird things that we should know about these two teams. Is that, okay, Ray is a little bit new to not only competitive play, but new to just the kind of the competitive scene. They're not, they haven't seen them out hardly anywhere. But Snake, at least they have at least some hype behind them. They kind of came out of TGA and they're like, hey, we smashed TGA, never lost a game. Finally make it into LSPL, and now here they are in the Demacia Cup, and they're actually backing up some of their earlier success in TGA by being currently 3rd in that tournament. So it's not like World Elite Academy where everybody thinks, hey, these are like one of the best teams in China, and then they hit LPL and they're bottom 2. So it's a team that at least when they transition between tournaments, they back it up. So we don't have a lot of champion data on who plays what regularly, but at least as far as the champion choices, it's fairly meta here. Very early pick on the AD carry. Kog'Maw very strong there for Snake, but you're going to see focus elsewhere, saying, all right, we gave away a strong AD carry there. Let's pick up some strength in other teams, and Ray will get that by grabbing the Lulu and a Gragas.
No, I'm sorry, and Snake is sitting at 10-6 at the moment. I got some information mixed up in my head. So yeah, this Draven and Nami ban, that's what bothers me the most. Like, on the other hand, you have Kog'Maw and Leona getting picked up, so a really solid bottom lane that we have seen being played in the LPL. So why do you ban this Draven? Is the AD carry of Snake really so good on this champion?
That's what I would imagine, just because you don't traditionally see Draven bans. Of course, with a team that's kind of new to competitive play, like Ray is, you might see more bans towards just things that they struggle against, rather than target bans necessarily. So, Fan2Fan is going to have that banned against him, but we'll see if that's actually worth the while. As looking for the last pick, hovering over Pantheon there for Ray. I guess, yeah, it's locked in. There's where does the Pantheon go? Traditionally, you'd see a Gragas mid lane with a Elise, or with a Lulu top lane. So I'm guessing that's jungle Pantheon. Not something we've seen out there in a while, at least not in an LPL. But still a jungler, even though his ult's a little bit changed. We'll see how that works out here tonight for Ray.
Yeah, he was there in the LPL for quite a long time, actually, and a lot of the junglers were doing really well with him, but he disappeared for some time, and now we see him brought up once again.
That ult change is really rough.
Definitely, and actually, the Chinese players were good for hitting all the Pantheon ultimates, so now I reckon it's getting a little bit harder, and we get the Yasuo for the top lane for Snake. So yeah, we usually see either Gragas or Lulu, but now we have Gragas and Lulu, and for Snake we have Orianna and Yasuo, 2 mid lane champions too. So some really interesting picks and bans coming out right here. We do see Pantheon that we haven't seen for quite a long time. We do see a Draven ban.
Yeah, and that's going to do it for our picks and bans. While the teams load into the game, we should be getting into that in just a minute. The big thing to notice is I'm going to be paying attention to the Pantheon. I'm super skeptical about whether or not that champion should be included in competitive play. I feel like his ult is just too difficult to use, and especially at this skill level, these aren't the best teams in the world, so you're not going to see pinpoint Pantheon ultimates that wind up working off. So maybe it's just to crush down the early jungle and then continue to get that snowball rolling. Snowballing Pantheon doesn't even have to use his ultimate, he just walks into the lane. But we'll see whether or not that works out for Ray. And of course, Snake coming into this matchup as the strong favorite with, I think, a third place current standing in LSPL. That's sort of the challenger scene up into the LPL. It's something you can compare that to if you're a little bit unfamiliar with that. Of course, Demacia Cup is a separate tournament altogether. So they see the teams and they play through a giant bracket. And here tonight, it's Snake versus Ray.
Yeah, there's a huge bracket right there. You have all the LPL teams, all the LSPL teams, some random teams from Challenger, and there's really a lot of different players in this cup. So yeah, we'll see how the game goes, because I'm definitely fired up to see this Yasuo with Orianna in the middle. This will definitely work out, because if you use the shockwave, you can also use the last breath from Yasuo. So that is really good.
All right, welcome back. We're gonna get into the game here. It's Ray versus Snakes. Early auto attacks being put down there. Most importantly to mention, this is the Demacia Cup. It's a giant bracket, separate from LPL, LSPL, all the other tournaments. And these two teams will be battling it out. Ray a little bit new to the competitive scene, whereas Snake has had a lot of competitive experience and done very well in the tournaments that they have played in. So Ray, traditionally we see lane swaps to start things off. But looks like we may actually get some 1v1 action once WDZ decides to recall.
Yeah, so Ray got scouted out by the Demacian standard very early in the game, so their plan kind of crumbles. Right now they're gathering around the bottom lane.
Big 5-man brush invade. This is a late invade on the blue buff, but more importantly, it's going to be a TP to the top lane rather than just a trip walking up that way. Unless Lulu just decides to leave. I mean, that's mid lane Lulu, so you should still see a TP up to the top lane. Very aggressive invade there by Ray. We'll see if it pays off, because they're going to have their blue buff stolen too. But Yasuo will not be forced to use his teleport like Gragas will, unless they're just going to double jungle all the way through the enemy jungle.
Yeah, we'll see. It was supposed to be the red invade though, but on the other side we do have the same thing coming down from Jarvan. So yeah, we have seen this 4VO in the top lane and in the bottom lane in the LPL in the latest games, and it looks like the Demacia Cup is going for the same right here.
The big difference, of course, is that when you invade the red side blue buff, you only get one jungle camp, whereas when you invade the blue side blue buff, you get two jungle camps. So it's a little bit different, a little bit of a discrepancy, but you should just see some horizontal jungling between both teams, so nothing too eventful to start things out. No solo laners just yet, other than, of course, in the mid, the top laners. Still going for that double jungle. And now you're going to see the supports start to roam. Most specifically, Matt is going to head towards the mid lane. See if he can get a nice hook off onto Orianna. He's in position. Just needs to walk right out of the bush. He can actually walk around the other side and get a better angle. But Copy is going to start pushing forward just a little bit as his lane shoves in to 007.
Yeah, I'd love to see this Thresh work out in the middle lane.
Oh, there's a flash in the flame. Where's the death sentence? It misses. And a 4-man roam from Ray in the mid lane. These guys are emulating the LPL team's strategies very, very well, but it just didn't work out there for Ray. Still forced the flash out of Copy.
And lured out the teleport from Yasuo from the top lane too.
But even still, I think Yasuo is just going to go back in the jungle and start start kind of jungling on his own. So he won't have any help with that. But like you said, yeah, Summoner spells down, and Ray with the aggression in the mid lane, rotating down to Dragon, and they're not splitting the aggro all that well, but Pantheon actually blocks a couple of those shots on his own. So as long as he doesn't take too many of those hits, it should be pretty good to go. So first Dragon of the game goes over to Ray off of a big aggressive play in the mid lane. Nice early advantage for them. We'll see what they do next.
Alright, so even though, well, actually, for the flash burn.
Oh, yeah, no questions asked about that flash. Flander was just like, there's 3 champions there. Getting a little bit greedy, trying for the white. If he was actually really, really cool, he could have used the dash through the creep onto, or through the wall as well, and he would have made it out the other side. At least I think you could do that if you're close enough to the wall, but better safe than sorry. Flash will save his life.
Yeah, and actually, Copy, they're using up his flash, and he's falling a little bit behind in CS. So that is the way this 4-man gank hurt him.
And they're going to try for it again. Like, they're not going to let him have any sort of free time in the mid lane. They blew his flash the first time around, but Copy, while you said he's losing CS, that's true, but that's just because he has to play safe here to avoid dying to 007 or the 5-man gank.
Yeah, so we will see how it develops. And Flander is still in the jungle. He's still not doing much. Meanwhile, Gragas, he's going for the top lane, as we can see right now.
Well, to be honest, this is exactly what Snake want. They're okay with drawing out the lane phase and giving their Kog'Maw as much time in lane for free time as they can. Now they're actually looking to turn this bottom lane around. They've got Reborn coming in behind, and actually Ray's choosing that position to go aggressive. It's a 3v2. TP is coming down bottom lane, but Ray are going to be 2v2 now after the death of their support. Mad's going to go down, but WDZ's got plenty of health and CC as he dashes on and can't find any more than just the kill onto Flander. That is a 1-for-1 off a TP down to bottom.
No, DP burned once again. And there is a kill on Flander. That's really good because this Yasuo will fall a little bit behind. And the Gragas is going quite well. 1 kill on top.
Yeah, but look at his itemization. He grabs the first item, Giant Spelled. So this is not your Frozen Heart Gragas like you've seen so much in LPL. This is probably a Randuin's Omen, or it could even go Sunfire Cape Gragas, and then hit up some Magic Penetration on top of that. Be a weird Gragas build that I've ever seen, but you know, he's got a Giant Spell, and that's more itemization than Flander has, sitting with just his gold pretend coming out from the Avarice Blade.
It's good. Seeing a lot of new things, seeing some difference between LPL and the Demacia Cup. So this Giant's build will definitely bring a lot of different Gragas play in here.
And
He'll
keep in
already
mind,
be tanky.
Yeah, Gragas is kind of like Dr. Mundo in the sense that he gets percentage health regen. So the more max health he has, the more regen he gets off of it from his happy hour passive. So that's a good way to get that regen super, super high early on with a lot of health. But it doesn't really build into anything that Gragas is too used to getting. So there's no Rod of Ages, there's no like Iceborne Gauntlets, it's no defensive stats, just straight up health.
Yeah, but it's still a level 3 Giant's belt. It's kind of a big item to have so early in your experience on the lane. And yeah, Flander is still winning in the CS even though he went down right there. So it's...
Oh, but where does he go here? He's going to get jumped on. He baits Rage right into turret range, but that's just going to give him his Aegis' Ionia pop. Now Colin's trying desperately to run away. They've got the slow from the giant growth, but Ray just couldn't find a kill. Well, either one of those kills. They will get the kill on the turrets, so if you can't kill champions, kill the objectives. Top lane, though, the dive looking for WDZ. A lot of counterplay here from this Gragas. Gets in on a Fan 2 Fan. He's got a Faf. He's going to be forced to flash away from their last turret shot. Does not kill him off. Pretty dangerous dive that Snake executes well.
Yeah, but Snake do get a kill right here. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Ray was just chasing Flander, which didn't really pay off. And also, Leona could just simply Zenith Blade to them. So she also stayed alive. So it's not a really good dive from Ray. And they had a 4v2 right there. On the other hand, Snake just winning a 2v1.
But both teams, you know, having their successes so far, and the duo lane doing very well, duoing very well for Snake. And when a Kog'Maw does well early, then well, it's not really going to get a whole lot better later on. The only problem is that Kog'Maw does have some things to worry about. And he's going to get jumped on by Pantheon, and then the knockup from the Lulu Wild Growth is going to be more CC on top of the Kog'Maw, so definitely some things to watch out for when we see these big team fights start to happen, but really it's just been gank after gank after gank on this mid lane. You can see Ray really focusing on helping 007 out.
You know, at the moment in the kill, Snake is winning by a little bit, but they're still even in gold. And actually, we expected a little bit of a better play coming out from Snake.
Yeah, but that's the great thing about tournaments, about expectations. You never know until the teams face off. I mean, just yesterday we saw Young Glory and World Elite Academy both pick up wins, and you almost never count those guys or expect them to do that. So anything can happen. LPL, LSPL, and even here in the Demacia Cup, never know until you try. Snake coming out with an even score against a less experienced team. We'll see if they can put their experience to use and make some hashtag Demacia Cup big plays.
Yeah, so Flander is losing out a little bit in the top lane, and that's the biggest surprise in my opinion, because this Yasuo was kind of a different pick from what we usually see, and he killed it a little bit. It's not
Oh,
a
but
disaster.
LHG's gonna jump on a Copy. I think Copy's got enough damage, and Command Shockwave back in. Ray is not gonna get out of here. Counter flash over the wall, but the Lantern's right there, and perfect play by Mad. Death Sentence to pull him back in, and now, oh, Copy might be in a little bit of trouble. The giant growth onto Ray, and it's Copy that goes down. Perfect turnaround and teamwork. Ray turning it around on the Snake, and Copy. He's going to need a copy of himself to get back out there pretty soon, because he is set back to base the hard way. Ray looking for their second dragon of the game.
An incredible turnaround right there, and just a missed command attack, and that's why LG actually stayed alive, and he turned it around. Incredible play, but Snake is not giving up this dragon, and they're going in.
They're going in twice. They've got the Jarvan engaged. There's the Leona engaged as well. TP is a little bit late now. Colin on the run, looking to retreat. LHG somehow didn't die. I don't know what's up with that, but still impressive play. That's twice in a row. He goes in, almost dies, and lives. So great play there by Ray. Snake trying desperately to finish that off. They get the smite. Jarvan grabs the second dragon away for Snake. Reborn picking that one up. 1-1 in dragon so far.
Yeah, so the calling was targeted at the dragon. It missed because the dragon was dead, so he couldn't even hit it on any champions. But yeah, LAG, he stays alive 2 times in a row and manages to get out of there. And we have seen some different plays yesterday when people who stayed alive just went into the fight after that and died. So good job.
Yeah, so, and the big thing to notice is that Ray, they split even in dragons, but they're still fighting and, in some cases, winning these team fights. Most impressively is LHG's kind of fearlessness to go in, always knowing that the rest of his team's there to back him up. And while Snake may have the better individual plays, it has been Ray that have been sort of winning out these team fights. Always having one another's back if they get caught out there. So clearing out some ward coverage around that Baron buff. It hasn't even spawned yet, so mostly just looking for some vision coverage and control. 2v1 up in the top lane. You'll almost never see 2v1s actually come to fruition, because it's always better to have the solo laner in the jungle. But Snake looking for maybe some sneaky Snake ways to get up to top lane, and Jarvan's figured it out, going over the Baron buff. Not looking for a gank just yet, just try to keep this top turret alive.
Plus, he was standing on top of a ward after this EQ. It was a good one, but he didn't probably expect the ward to be there, and the death sentence misses on Flander, so...
Oh, yeah, but Flanders gets taken, forced to flash away even still. The 4-man gank up to top lane, and Colin staying alive about as long as he can. 4 champions, and they can't kill off the support. Yasuo getting in there. Flanders still alive. Last auto attack for 007. Takes him out in the end, and with the death from Pantheon underneath it. No, LHG actually lived underneath there. Holy cow. All right. So there's actually the death from Reborn, Flanders, Colin. They all go down. It's a 3-for-0 exchange in favor of Ray.
And they stayed alive for so long, and it looked like it might have been the fight. But in the end, they still died. I know why Flander decided to go in for the last breath. He could have just run away and stayed alive and not just fight for the kills.
Yeah, he
That
might not
was
have
really
actually
unlikely.
expected Ray to all come there and be there for the backup. But that's one thing that, at least consistently in this game, Ray have shown they always got each other's backs. So we'll see if that's the trend continues. Snake overextend just a little bit and sort of overvalue staying at that top turret. Get taken out for it, and we are going to have to watch for second or third dragon, about to respawn in about 3 minutes, and positioning down to the bottom lane, just watching for those wave control. Oh, Pantheon ult coming in down onto the bottom, hits on a fan to fan. He will back away, but there's nowhere to run for the Kog'Maw. He's trying to maybe flash over the wall, but he doesn't have flash, so nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. He gets dunked down as WZDZ. It's Kog'Maw who's got a drinking problem with Gragas.
Yeah, at least he lured out 007 to the other side of the wall so he couldn't even damage him. That's why he stayed alive a little bit longer, but still didn't pay off actually. So 5 kills difference, and look at that, 3 turrets to nothing in favor of Ray. It was just this dragon from Snake that holds them with the gold. Actually quite near.
Oh, Lantern in. Where's the Death Sentence? Gets it. Holy hell. Copy. Get some help in there from Leona. The command shockwave's good. Mad, very, very low. Taken down from Ignite. Burns him down. Snake, actually, or Colin, rather, there to pick up the kill. But now, oh, it's going to be a kill onto Lucian. So, not a good positioning there from Wo Yue. He will get taken out. And so, the Snake turned that one around. It's a 2 for 0. See if Snake's got the moves to bring this one back. Great command shockwave there. Copy really carrying that team fight.
Well, Copy okay, but Colin once again stopping the dives from happening. He's just the key member right there with the solar flares, catching everyone every single time. He's the real MVP right here.
And to be honest, I was actually a little bit disappointed in Colin, but oh, now we gotta watch Flander here in this 2v1, trying to run away. He's got the move speed from the Zeal, gets the knockup, but he's slowed down by Glitterlance and knocked up underneath the turret. A little bit of an unceremonious death for Flander. Big pressure to the top lane when Dragon's up in a minute and a half. We'll have to see if Ray can relocate down to the bottom half of the map in time.
Oh, but Snake, they were so close to LEG. If they could have caught him right there, that would have been a nice kill and probably a dragon.
Oh, but Mad
but
walks through an unwarded jungle. He's going to pay for that with his life. Mad going down. I was about to talk about the supports and how much better Mad was doing with all those assists. 6 assists versus, well, previously 0. But Colin in the bottom lane encounter, he's going 2-2-2, so picking up just about a little bit of everything. Starting to really feel his effectiveness in these team fights.
Yeah, well, still the solar flares are always on point, so I'm just waiting for the team fights to start, because then it is going to be really huge. I mean, a lot. So yeah, they evened out in gold. They took 2 turrets, they took 1 fight in the bottom lane, and finally they turned around the big dives that we were going for. Finally it worked out.
Both teams very, very willing to dive. And that's one of the awesome things that you used to see a lot out of LPL teams last split. Maybe less so this split. But it looks like it's still alive and well in Demacia Cup, just diving all over the place. So Flander's been having some struggles this game, but he's come out with a 40 CS lead, even though he's down 2 kills in that top lane matchup. And with that static shiv, that's a huge power spike for him. Oh, jumping in there onto Colin. Boxes down, and then there's the culling coming in from behind. TP is coming in, but actually not really too effective. It's going to give Ray the presence that they need to be able to take the dragon, but they probably didn't need to have WDZ TP down from top lane. Because now Flander's going to get that top lane turret.
WDZ wasn't really sure if his team can pick up the Leona kill, because if not the culling, she would have stayed alive. So it's actually really good. And they could have still continued the fight with the explosive cast, but he didn't go for it. But once again, they get the dragon, that's really good. And Leona, once again, a good solar flare. However, there is no follow-up once there was this Orianna.
Oh, but look at Fan to Fan just destroying Woyue. He was a little bit too far forward there, and Fan putting that damage down. Completed Trinity Force versus the completed Infinity Edge, but oh, Mad not going in on that, and really good at realization that even though he could have caught out Fan to Fan, Reborn was right there, so Snake would have been able to turn it around.
I don't know, actually, if they would have been able to turn it around. I think that if they got a kill on Kog'Maw really early, actually, there was the Cathian surprise, but still, they would have had the advantage. But the thing that I noticed to come out from Matt is just he goes for the flay or for the box, but he never goes for the hook. He goes for the very late death sentences, and that's really weird to see.
It's a different
Oh
style of
gosh.
playing Thresh. It's a lot safer. Flay is, of course, a lot easier to land, so he's basically saying, all right, I'm not going to risk the death sentence if it's, 50-50 hit or miss. I'm going to go in for the Flay and set up for very high percentage plays. And to be honest, they've been working out. He's got 7 assists, which is almost 100% kill participation, just missing out on 2. So, Snake don't have that same kind of like plan to their team fights. They're always the big initiators, unless it's Ray going for these big dives. So we'll see if Colin's got some more initiations in him. They have been a little bit hit or miss, not 2, 3, and 2.
But still, there is the farm advantage on pretty much everyone on Snake's lineup. And now we have the gold shown actually on the screen.
Oh, but the engaged knockup right into Yasuo. Last breath. Flanders going to be forced to flash out of that team fight. The explosive cast comes in for the kill. Command Shockwave's going to go out there, but I'm not sure it's enough damage. Oh, it is. To take out Gragas in the back line now. Reborn going in, going back out. He stays alive. Ray, they're getting destroyed there. One more auto attack. Fan to fans out of mana. He's getting slowed down, and there's the shield. 007 makes it out like the super spy he is, but he'll be sneaky enough to escape. The rest of his team, not so lucky.
Alright, I'm wondering if we will get the replay of the fight, because Fan to Fan was always in the front line. He was sitting in front of Ray's faces, and he got a triple kill and didn't even get touched. How did that happen? I really want to see the replay of the fight.
I mean, you have to give some credit to 007. Like, this guy's a monster. He was the only one to pick up a kill there in that fight, and he's going 3-0-4. So, even though he's down in CS, even though his team is maybe losing out some of these engages, he is always coming out ahead. And now has Death Cap Morellonomicon for just about as much AP as you can get on a Lulu at this point in the game.
And yeah, actually, before the fight happened, we saw Copy having 2.5k gold, so it was before he grabbed the big item, and look at that. He comes back from the fight, buys a Rabadon's death cap straight away. So if this fight happened after the recall of Copy, it would have been even worse for Ray.
And not that it could get a whole lot worse. Only 007 living with just a sliver of HP. So Baron was maybe a possibility if you rush it, but everybody pretty low for Snake, not going to risk anything crazy like that. Interesting to see neither one of these teams really big on going for super early Barons. They will look for the team fights to give them an advantage before they want to push that one in.
Yeah, and there was no big point in going for the Baron so early. They still didn't have that big item on Orianna. If they
Nero, there doesn't have to be a point to go for Baron. You just do it. All right, Mad going for the plays, the flays, and where's that death sentence that we're looking for? He's gonna wait to try to grab somebody over the wall. There's explosive cask slams Flander against it, but no kill there. Is Reborn able to standard himself away there? Now Snake, they are on the hunt. We're looking for a solar flare. Zenith Blade will miss. Where's the flare? Not gonna throw it out. Colin wisely not overextending. Snake cannot find the counter engage.
Yeah, the support's being so weird in this game. Colin not throwing out the solar flare right now, and Matt didn't even throw out the death senses throughout the whole time of the fight. And yeah, actually talking about this Baron, I wanted to say that if Copy doesn't have a big item and you win the fight, then you can win another fight and then go for the Baron, which is safer. So that's really good decision making from Snake right there.
Snake, they're down a kill, but more importantly, they have stabilized the game. So they've figured out what their game plan is, and that is pretty much based on fan to fan. I'm actually a pretty big fan of him so far this game, just because his positioning for Kog'Maw against all this dive and just a bunch of stuff to throw at him is looking pretty good. He's able to stay in the back and DPS, but actually, like you mentioned a couple of fights ago, he's actually frontline Kog'Maw, and while he had a lot of success with that, it's only going to work for so long. 007 for Team Ray is actually looking incredibly strong. He's going for a Lich Bane as his third item, stacked up on top of all this burst AP. That is going to be really effective. Different build, not going for the Chalice of Harmony, so he'll have less mana regen, but more overall damage.
Yeah, but no problem if Fan to Fan can stay alive once again while being on the faces of Ray in the next fight.
Oh, and
5-1
there's
Kog'Maw
a
is definitely going to be a pain in the neck. And there's
TP down to the Dragon Pit, trying to come around, but WDZ actually body slams back the other direction. Throws a cask over the wall, but it gets wind walled, so with that wind wall down, Ray now looking for the engage. They've got that explosive cask to force the fight. They also have Pantheon to jump in if they really want to go for it.
The calling is already down and Reborn is regenning quite quickly. Be a good fight for Snake if they don't get too spread out with the explosive cask.
Ball is on to Flander, and you'll notice they're actually putting the ball on Flander, not on Reborn, because they're actually looking for the follow-up engage off of the Jarvan initiate. So the chain is what they're looking for. Mad getting knocked up. There's no engage onto there. WDZ's on the back line, but there's nobody to follow up, and Fan to Fan just blows him apart. Copy is getting beset by LHG, but he's going to get the peel from Fan to Fan. They're just going to keep DPSing this out, and this Kog'Maw for Snake is just doing work. Nowhere to run. Well, okay, well, there's somewhere to run for Mad and Woyue. They will be the sole survivors there. Oh, actually, Mad may go down to the Void Ooze, and it is Fan to Fan grabbing himself his 8th kill of the game. If anybody watched the NALCS today, this is very reminiscent of a CLG versus Dig game where Double Lift, his Kog'Maw just got ridiculously fed, and that was more than enough to carry out the rest of the game.
Yeah, Lucian also got the triple kill in that fight, and once again, Fan to Fan was sitting on the face of a Pantheon, and he still lost like 200 of his health at most. It is just incredible why Ray aren't even trying to stop this Kog'Maw from rampaging. Right now he's 8-1-2. It's just so huge. He died at the very beginning of the fight, I think. So it's legendary Kog'Maw.
And at least to be honest, both AD carries had great performances there. Like you mentioned, the triple, it's looking good in both camps. That big triple was huge for Lucian because it's going to keep him relevant in this mid-game phase while Kog'Maw is really starting to ramp up with those big 3 items in his inventory. So if Lucian can get that Blade of the Ruined King, he'll be in a nice mid-game spot. He's got a ton of crit on him right now. That's going to be super strong. And the Lich Bane about to be completed onto 007. The damage is there for Ray. They just need to be able to split better and not... I mean, that last fight, WDZ's Gragas suicided into the back line. So, probably going to need more of a coordinated team effort. Like we've seen out of them all game. They just didn't have it there.
Yeah, but if Fan to Fan actually gets to attacking this Lucian, I think that this Kog'Maw is definitely going to win. And then the fight is going to go to Snake. We'll see a little bit of focus around the Baron Pit, though.
Snake, they've got positioning in the mid lane. I'm not really sure what their game plan is. They're actually going to be the ones getting engaged on. They get it flayed back in. It's a nice start to the fight by Mad. LHQ's going to force to be flashed back in. They're trying to focus Fan to Fan, and he's going to be chased all the way out of the fight. The death sentence misses, and the Kog'Maw stays alive. But now it's Flanders' turn to get the damage down, and he'll jump onto Yuoyue, taking down that Lucian, and now it's LHQ. Fan to Fan got jumped on, still survives, and the rest of Snake looking to clean things up. Knock up onto Mad for the ace. 5 for 1. Copy taking one for the team, and Snake will jump onto Baron.
Finally they focused on Fan to Fan, but once again he stays alive. It's just incredible. This Kog'Maw, the least mobile AD carry, and he stays alive through everything. Literally everything. And now they have 8k gold difference, 8k gold lead actually.
And they're delaying Baron. They did the Baron deliberately more slowly so that Copy could get the buff when he revived. So great coordination there, Snake. Really coming in big. And honestly, this is the Kog'Maw show. Fan to Fans making me a big fan of his play tonight. Now with 3 items in his inventory, but way more when he decides to finally head back to base. And yeah, there's a... Wait, he's buying a Zeal. Is that a Phantom Dancer? This is going to be full attack speed Kog'Maw.
I don't know what he's going for. I mean, Draven was banned against him, and we don't see Draven in competitive play at all. So he might even go for a static shift, no problem. Oh, and Flander just blowing up Lucian.
I mean, yeah, that happens. It's what happens when you have that AD carry versus burst assassin. And Flander, to be honest, like he started out with a very, very rough start to the game. He out CS Gragas, and then WDZ just came back in the lane and it just wasn't an issue anymore. But with the big Infinity Edge Shiv power spike, That's about as effective as you're going to be as Flander. Now he's diving between the turrets. He gets flayed backwards. And there's actually the knock-up onto Mad. Mad actually could go down here. One more auto attack, and Flander's going to get it. Gets knocked actually against the wall. Taking up those tower shots. Not where he wants to be. And LHQ, or LHG rather, coming in for the kill. Mid lane, that's way too many resources. Bottom, Frey. They're losing out their middle inhibitor. Command Shockwave kills off 007. Not sneaky enough to get in there. And Fan to Fan's in the front lines. Just taking out Woyue. He didn't stand a chance, and there is another knock-up onto WDZ. He'll make it back to the fountain in time. But Snake are actually going to snowball this into the game if they're lucky. One Nexus turret down, second one to follow. And Snake just find the picks off their push down mid, and a nice bait down bottom lane from Flander. He takes one for the team, and this should be the game for Snake.
I know, Fan found a way to cheat in League of Legends. He's just having a god mod right there. He can't be killed, it's incredible, and a cog mod. I have no idea how that works, but he's always in the front lines, he's always getting the kills, and he's winning the game single-handedly for Snake with some help from Yasuo.
Holy cow. Yeah, when you as an AD carry can be in the front of your team and still not die. He died once that game and had a monstrous performance. Like, now you start to realize why Ray might have banned their Draven versus that guy. Because that was Kog'Maw on a late game, that was Fan to Fan on a late game AD carry. Imagine if he had had the early game power of Draven. Like, that would have been ridiculous. So, even though the result is as expected, Snake very strong. I gotta say I'm impressed by Ray. They had a good early game, a lot of good team play, but started to kind of fall apart after the 25-minute mark.
Yeah, but if they take this Draven this time around, I'm afraid of what will be left of Ray right here. Because, well, Fan to Fan is just gonna slide through them and destroy them all. This Draven, if he can be in the front lines with the Draven, he doesn't have the longer auto attack with W, just needs to be there in the front. And if he can dish out the damage and not go down, this is going to be a 30-1 Raven maybe. Come on, he just can get so many kills without getting taken down.
Yeah, and keep in mind there is the big discrepancy between the duo lanes, at least here in for Ray. Ray lost apparently lost their big name AD carry to King, who's now the first place team in LSPL. So they come out with Woyue, relatively new to the team, and they're going up against Fan to Fan, who's just Godmaw, at least in the last game. So we'll see if if the duos will match up a little bit more evenly here in game number 2. Keep in mind, these aren't 2-game sets. It's a best of 3, so if Ray can bring it back, they still have a shot to take 2 games and advance, but looking very good for Snake, as apparently we're going to take a little bit of a break here coming into, or at least before we come into game number 2. So stick around, we'll take a brief interim between the games and be right back with game number 2 here in our first best of 3 of the night. It's the Demacia Cup with Snake versus Ray. I'm Rapid here with Nero. We'll be shoutcasting this in English here on Twitch TV, brought to you guys by Ghost Suit Gamers and Games in Asia. Stick around, we'll be right back. With that, of course, Demacia's Cup is a separate tournament altogether. So they see the teams and they play through a giant bracket. And here tonight, it's Snake versus Ray.
Yeah, there's a huge bracket right there. You have all the LPL teams, all the LSPL teams, some random teams from Challenger, and there's really a lot of different players in this cup. So yeah, we'll see how the game goes, because I'm definitely fired up to see this Yasuo with Orianna in the middle. This will definitely work out, because if you use the Shockwave, you can also use the Last Breath from Yasuo. So that is really good.
All right, welcome back. We're gonna get into the game here. It's Ray versus Snakes. Early auto attacks being put down there. Most importantly to mention, this is the Demacia Cup. It's a giant bracket. It's separate from LPL, LSPL, all the other tournaments. And these two teams will be battling it out. Ray, a little bit new to the competitive scene, whereas Snake has had a lot of competitive experience and done very well in the tournaments that they have played in. So, Ray, traditionally, we see lane swaps to start things off, but looks like we may actually get some 1v1. Two weird things that we should know about these two teams is that, okay, Ray is a little bit new to not only competitive play, but new to just the kind of the competitive scene. They're not, they haven't seen them out hardly anywhere, but Snake, at least they have at least some hype behind them. They kind of came out of TGA and they're like, hey, we smashed TGA, never lost a game, finally make it into LSPL, and now here they are in the Demacia Cup, and they're actually backing up some of their earlier success in TGA by being currently third in that tournament. So it's not like World Elite Academy where everybody thinks, hey, these are like one of the best teams in China, and then they hit LPL and they're bottom two. So it's a team that at least when they transition between tournaments, they back it up. So we don't have a lot of champion data on who plays what regularly, but at least as far as the champion choices, it's fairly meta here. Very early pick on the AD carry. Kog'Maw very strong there for Snake, but you're going to see focus elsewhere, saying, all right, we gave away a strong AD carry there. Let's pick up some strength in other teams, and Ray will get that by grabbing the Lulu and a Gragas.
No, I'm sorry, and Snake is sitting at 10-6 at the moment. I got some information mixed up in my head. So yeah, this Draven and Nami ban, that's what bothers me the most. Like on the other hand, you have Kog'Maw and Leona getting picked up. So
hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. We're a little bit late starting, but do want to welcome you guys to the stream. This is the normally LPL coverage. We'll be covering the Demacia Cup. It's a different tournament. It's got a bunch of really good teams, and we'll see a few of them tonight. You can see LGD on there, a team you probably know. But we're actually going to start things off with Ray versus Snake. And I'll turn things over to my co-caster, Nero, to kind of introduce the teams. I'm Rapid, and we'll be covering these games for you, of course, brought to you in part by our friends at Gosu Gamers and Games in Asia here in English on Twitch.
yeah, so Ray, they are the kind of an unrecognized team right here. They have one really good top laner that they gave away to King, who are playing in LSPL, and actually they are doing really well. So this was their good player right there, and he got taken away from them right now, and they didn't qualify for LSPL 2 times in a row, 2 splits in a row. So they are the kind of no-names and the underdogs coming into this match, but they can surprise. And actually look at the bans. There's the Draven and Nami ban. How often do you see bans such as that? On the other hand, we do have Snake. They are in the middle of the standings in the LSPL, sitting on 7 wins and 7 losses at the moment.
Yeah, so there's...
So now I reckon it's getting a little bit harder. And we get the Yasuo for the top lane for Snake. So yeah, we usually see either Gragas or Lulu, but now we have Gragas and Lulu, and for Snake we have Orianna and Yasuo, 2 mid lane champions too. So some really interesting picks and bans coming out right here. We do see Pantheon that we haven't seen for quite a long time. We do see a Draven ban.
Yeah, and that's going to do it for our picks and bans. While the teams load into the game, we should be getting into that in just a minute. The big thing to notice is I'm going to be paying attention to the Pantheon. I'm super skeptical about whether or not that champion should be included in competitive play. I feel like his ult is just too difficult to use, and especially at this skill level, these aren't the best teams in the world, so you're not going to see pinpoint Pantheon ultimates that wind up working off. So maybe it's just to crush down the early jungle and then continue to get that snowball rolling. Snowballing Pantheon doesn't even have to use his ultimate, he just walks into the lane. But we'll see whether or not that works out for Ray. And of course, Snake coming into this matchup as the strong favorite with I think a 3rd place current standing in LSPL. That's sort of the challenger scene up into the LPL. It's something you can compare that to if you're a little bit unfamiliar.
A really solid bottom lane that we have seen being played in the LPL. So why do you ban this Draven? Is the AD carry of Snake really so good on this champion?
That's what I would imagine, just because you don't traditionally see Draven bans. Of course, with a team that's kind of new to competitive play, like Ray is, you might see more bans towards just things that they struggle against, rather than target bans necessarily. So, Fan2Fan is going to have that banned against him, but we'll see if that's actually worth the while. As looking for the last pick, hovering over Pantheon there for Ray. I guess yeah, it's locked in. There's I'm where does the Pantheon go? Traditionally, you'd see a Gragas mid lane with a Elise or with a Lulu top lane. So I'm guessing that's jungle Pantheon. Not something we've seen out there in a while, at least not in LPL. But still a jungler, even though his ult's a little bit changed. We'll see how that works out here tonight for Ray.
Yeah, he was there in the LPL for quite a long time actually, and a lot of the junglers were doing really well with him, but he disappeared
Yeah,
for some time, and now we see him brought up once again
that
from
ult
Ray.
change is really rough.
Definitely, and actually, the Chinese players were good for hitting all the Pantheon ultimate.